Hello and welcome back to the Awkward Networker podcast. I'm your host, Sean Han. Today we'll be talking about the most common illness for all networkers, foot and mouth syndrome, how to prevent it from happening in the future, and how to prevent the awkwardness after you put your foot in your mouth, right here on the Awkward Networker. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Awkward Networker. I'm your host, Sean Hand, and today I want to share with you a story sent to me by Sarah, a fellow Philadelphian. Sarah described a situation in which she was attending a cocktail reception after a large conference and joined a small circle of 3 to 4 other people. Everyone was pleasant and cordial, sipping wine, getting to know each other. Then the one older gentleman standing to Sarah's left mentioned that he worked for, let's call it Company A. Sarah specifically emphasized to me that this gentleman said, and I quote, "I work for Company A." Sarah, trying to quickly become a part of the conversation, immediately asked how he liked working for Company A, then proceeded to explain why she asked that question. She mentioned that 2 of her friends from college used to work at that same company and had to leave within the first year because they said it wasn't a supportive work environment. At which point, the gentleman explained that he didn't just work for the company, but in fact was the founder and CEO. I'm sorry, Sarah, I'm not I'm not chuckling at you. It's just, I've been there. I know the feeling. Your eyes bulge, the air gets sucked out of the room, the other people in the circle immediately start looking for the exits, except the one psycho that's staring right at both of you because he can't wait to see what happens next. I've been there, Sarah, so I don't mean to chuckle at you, but it's just, I know your pain. But Sarah wants to know what she could have done to make that moment the least awkward possible and possibly prevent such awkwardness in the future. All right, so first, before I provide my thoughts here, Sarah, I just want to say thank you for your honesty. Again, I'm chuckling because your story brings back a flood of awful memories in which I said something equally show-stopping, so trust me, I feel your pain. So the first comment I make here will probably have you rolling your eyes like, "Yes, Dad," but I don't want to preach, I just want to share something that I've had to train myself to remember over the years. And bottom line is this: no matter what this guy's position is in the company, I'm 100% sure he wouldn't be thrilled that someone he doesn't know just told him he's working in a toxic environment, right? I mean, I just want to remind you that you don't know these people. It's a tough adjustment going from conversing with friends and family all day to conversing with complete strangers. With your friends and your family, you mostly know what makes them tick, and as long as you avoid those touchy subjects, you can basically say whatever you want without being insulting. When you're networking, however, you need to think not necessarily will this offend the other person, although that's partly true as well. You need to think, why am I saying what I'm about to say? What are you gaining? Do you actually care about the answer? Like if this guy wasn't the CEO, he was a manager and was open to discussing his feelings about the work environment, does that mean anything to you? If he said, "Well, I actually think it's starting to get a little better since we had a change in management," would that information benefit you somehow? If not, then that was some risky small talk that you just presented there, right? So the point is to keep it light and surfacey, at least until you know who's in that circle, then start layering in the feelings and opinions as the relationship progresses. Similar to if, you were on a first date. You probably wouldn't ask the other person their thoughts on having kids in the next year. You know what I mean? So that's really my comment on how to prevent it in the future. If you don't know anything about the person, keep your questions and comments scoping in nature, all focused on gathering more information about the person and delivering interesting, not overly edgy, information about yourself. And if you stray from that model at all and start providing your own potentially controversial commentary, ask yourself, what do I hope to gain by saying this? If the answer is nothing, I just thought they should know, maybe save it for a later meeting when you have a better grasp on the audience. Now, as for what my friend Sarah should do to mitigate the awkwardness at the moment she contracted foot and mouth syndrome, first, just be honest with yourself. Was this just an unfortunate misunderstanding? Did your words get tripped up and that's not actually what you meant at all? Or did you say what you meant and only now realizing you're caught with your foot in your mouth? If it was just a simple misunderstanding, trust me, I had this happen recently. I was in a small conversation circle with a colleague and a few people I didn't know. My colleague told me he was going to a ball game where we'd be playing our rivals. All right, fine, I'll tell you. It was I'm from Philly, and we were playing the Giants, and my friend was going to the New York Giants game. Then he said, I'm bringing some people from company X. I don't know if I didn't hear him or if I was still hung up on the thought of my Eagles playing the Giants, but I responded by saying, God, I hate them. And suddenly the one guy in the circle that I didn't know goes, hey, that's what company you're talking about. Boom, foot and mouth syndrome. But not really, right? Like, I don't hate the guy's company. I hate my hometown rivals. I just quickly explained that I was talking about the team and not his company, but the guy was hesitant, and all the words just got muddled together, and it was super awkward. But honestly, at that point, I didn't really care. I mean, he was standing right there. He was clearly a part of the context of that conversation. So if he still thinks I hate his company for some weird reason, then that's his problem. I'm not going to grovel. I know deep down I didn't do anything wrong. So at that point, you just chalk it up. And unless this guy signs your checks, you just take a deep breath and move on. In Sarah's case, however, this wasn't a misunderstanding or words getting tripped up. You laid your cards down thinking you had the best hand, and then when the guy revealed his cards, you suddenly wished you had folded a while ago. This happens. It happens to me often. In this case, I would just straight up apologize. Hat in hand, sincere, just admit what you did. Like, oh, well, put my foot in my mouth there. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you owned the company. I should have just not said anything at all. I'm very sorry. And just see where he takes it from there. If he's cool and he gives you the, it's no problem, Sarah. I've heard that quite a few times actually, but let your friends know we've taken a lot of steps to improve our work environment, and I think we're getting a lot better in the future. If he says something like that, grab onto that gracious olive branch and pull yourself from the quicksand. Don't belabor it. Just move on right away. See if anyone else wants to talk about one or two other things, and then remove yourself from the group. Check out the Awkward Networker blog, by the way, for some good tips on how to exit a conversation, and that'll help you. If he's not cool and wants to fight about it, just bail out as quickly as you can, tail between your legs, and seek refuge. I can't tell you how many times I found a friend at a networking event, and the first thing I said was, oh my God, please kill me. You are not going to believe how stupid I am. It happens all the time, so just get out. One last point I'll make here, well, two, I guess. First, I'm assuming sobriety here. So if it seems like maybe you weren't sober when you put your foot in your mouth and it completely killed the mood, maybe don't try to bail yourself out. There's a good chance you're going to say something even worse. So just apologize, exit the conversation as quickly as possible, and consider leaving the event altogether so that you could just to prevent saying something stupid again to somebody else, or having your face present in the room for the guy to point to when he's telling other people about you. And number two, remember that feeling. So remember how terrible that felt and how it made you consider reverting back to your childhood and never talking to strangers again. So the next time someone says something awkward and boneheaded to you at a networking event, which trust me, they inevitably will, you'll give that person the opportunity to apologize and move past it. The quicker you are to forgive and forget at a networking event, the more confident you'll feel going forward, even if you do say something to someone else that could be a little bit awkward. So Sarah, I hope that helps. Thank you again for submitting your story and question, and I hope you and the CEO are besties now. If not, don't panic. He probably already forgot about it. With that, I'll end by saying I hope this topic helped all of you, the Awkward Networker fans and listeners, and I look forward to bringing you future podcasts based on your questions, awkward stories, and networking curiosities. Tag me on social media or email awkwardnetworker@gmail.com with your input, and I'll try my best to answer all of them. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.